Superior Shave fans that are humans, and happy St. Patty's Day, right? It's March 17. You know, my grandparents come from Ireland. Shocker, right? My last name, Connerty. It's just like Sean Connery, except there's a T between the R and the Y. Or it's just like Smith, except there's no S, M, I, or H, and you add Connery. This customer asked to hone this Thiers-Issard 1196 Evide Sonnant Extra. And I already took a look at it in the scope. It looks very pasted edge, let's say. That signature, very thin looking edge. That's lightly fragmented and fine, and that is the French way. So this 8x3 soft Arkansas stone is shaped like a cylinder. The cylinder is coming toward and away from you as opposed to going left and right to your perspective of this. And I am just using this cylinder long enough to walk around the corner 6 feet away to look in my binocular stereo microscope at around 30 magnification or somewhere just south of that. I can tell whether or not the scratches are new scratches that I'm making with this arc, and you can see the little angle deflection if you hold it in your hands with the scope and just like move it around like this. Because you have the binocular stereoscope and not the monocular scope looking from one side of the edge, you can, in my opinion, you can assess the shape of the cutting edge much better at low magnification with a binocular stereoscope than you can at much higher magnifications with a binocular or biocular. That's good for seeing how well apexed your edge is and how pure the terminus is of the edge, but it doesn't do anything to tell you the shape of the bevel, and that's half the fight, in my opinion. So, though I would describe the incumbent appearance of the edge with the binoscope as harsh looking, it was also super keen, which means, you know, thin, and I hope I am not making it thicker with my 20 some odd foot wheel that I'm using right now. It's hard to find fine sandpaper in large quantities at the store, and I'm waiting for 100 pieces of 320 grit. And when I get it, I'm going to start topping off this stone and the other stone. Pretty much every day I'll just wipe it on there after I'm done. Because what you can't see is that you're using more of the middle than anywhere else, and you're not wearing away the endings as much as you need to. And although these stones are extremely long wearing for a home honer, I am using the tool every single day, multiple times a day. And over the course of years, if you don't do something after you've worked so hard to shape it, you'll have to work hard again, as I did this last summer. Alrighty, let's take a look in the scope, okay? Well, I'm back, as you can see, and I just took a look in the scope, and there was a couple of little dandelion-sized microchips here and there on the cutting edge. The thing is, the edge comes so thin when it's pasted from Thiers-Issard that I don't know if something is rolling around on this hone and causing that chip. I certainly don't feel or hear that. Or the alternative is that because the edge is so thin, you are sort of splitting it away as you reset it to something slightly thicker. And you know at this point, if you're watching these two videos, that I'm obsessed with making the edge thin. I can do that on the next step with the convex black Arkansas stone, which is shaped like an ellipse. But I just want to be sure that that which I'm refining is slightly thicker and it has no real variance in its appearance from the heel to the toe.
Okay, let me take a peek.
There was still one little microchip left, and it is between the E and the V on the Evide. Still doing a little polishing. I hate this step one, don't I? Don't we all, right? And I was wondering if you guys noticed, when I'm using this cylinder hone, you can see that the razor is not bending left to right across the cutting edge to meet the shape of the hone being presented to it the way that the black hone is. So when I switch to the black hone, I've noticed in all these close-ups ever since getting this tilt and shift lens, you can really see the razor bending to the hone, which is great for shaving. Well, I put in about 5 or 6 minutes that you didn't see. I certainly hope this is enough. Let me go take a peek. Something I noticed working on that cylinder hone is the irregular contact across the cutting edge because of the Thiers-Issard razor not being very flat. They never have been very flat, just so you know, and this is all because of the way that they forge and temper the razors in France and how it's completely different than the way they do it in Germany. They are, fortunately or not, never quite that flat compared to the German razors. But I've always felt that they shaved a little better because they're more flexible. You can especially see it on this
All across this hone, can't you?
So I don't want it to flex too much. That'll put it in a state where you can really only maintain that thing with a very convex hone. Otherwise you'll have to erase a lot of metal by trying to carve out a flat from something that's not flat. But if you never try to do that and you just embrace its variances, you're left with the advantage of that thinness. These are kind of boring to watch, but because I chamfered my stones, which means rounding off the edges, something I always did, and it's something you should not do with a convex hone because it's hard to get at the heel and the toe to begin with let alone if you're going to round off that area. So I don't generally include these in the videos, but I start or end by sitting here and just going on this railing until I can see a little bit of wear on the heel. For me, getting at the toe is a lot easier than the heel. This edge is so thin that when you look at it straight on, you can see it going like this, like meandering. A wonderful, thin, fragile instrument for shaving. I would be curious over time with these convex hones being used by the home user, if people try to take some thick grease, like Vaseline, and put it on all the concavities of the razor, away from the cutting edge and where the spine touches the stone. Because when you're using a wheel-shaped hone, if you don't have a giant water source nearby, the space between the cutting edge and the spine where the hone is nearby is much closer. And so what happens is the little abrasives that are rolling around, you don't realize it, but even on a fine Arkansas stone like this one, as well as those abrasives are trapped in the matrix of the stone's surface, once you put liquid on there and start moving something around that's got steel on it, like dandelion spores, you're breaking off little things. Those little things are rolling around in the liquid. And in the case of these convex stones, you can see that on the concavity of the razor. I personally don't give a shit, and I want my razor to work for me, not the other way around. This way of honing is much better for shaving. But I'm sure if you used an extremely soft man-made stone and had a constant stream of water involved in the honing process, that you could have the best of both worlds. You could have the concave edge that only the convex wheel-shaped hone can provide you, and you could have less appearance of wear on your spine and concavities of the razor. This is the entry-level Thiers-Issard, so not that it's cheap, it's $146. That's still expensive, but it's not what I would call a collectible. It's a user's tool, and you can get a really spiffy razor from the Victorian era for $146. But the hard thing to find from the Victorian era is a razor that's as wide from the spine to the cutting edge as a razor like this for that price. You can find plenty of well-kept smaller razors, but finding a bigger razor for a low price is really hard. And what I've found is that the younger the razor is and the more steel it's got left on the bone, generally the more flexible it is. And therefore, for me, it's better shaving. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I agree the Victorian era razors are the finest razors produced, because there was so many more people making razors and so many more people buying razors. So if you don't mind waiting around, when it comes to 5/8 razors and smaller, there's nothing I could sell you that's new that you can't beat in the Victorian era from sitting there watching eBay and taking the same budget and waiting around for 6 months to check it every single day. But when it comes to the 6/8 razors like this and larger, for my hunting, yeah, I'm not able to reliably beat the modern production razor for the same price in terms of getting something that shaves me really well. Those razors may have been 6/8 in 1904, but then a man had it and honed with it and shaved with it for 30 years, and it's something less than that now. So all of it in the scope looks similarly thin and a uniform scratch pattern, except for the toe, which it looks a little thicker and a little bit microchippy. So I'm just trying to wear away this customer's brand new razor at the toe just enough to make that look smooth.